In this section, we're going to go over some tips for small public companies and being able to pass internal control testing by auditors. SOX applies to companies that are listed on any exchange regardless of the size. In general, small and mid-sized companies that have less than 75 million in public debt and equity are known as non-accelerated filers who need to comply with SOX but at a more relaxed degree. In the beginning, when companies started to comply with Sarbanes-Oxley, audit firms were taking advantage of a very stringent ruling by the PCAOB, and they were just billing out unbelievable fees for everything. But eventually, the PCAOB put forth directives that auditors are to take a more cost-effective and common-sense approach in complying with SOX Section 404. On May 24th of 2007, the PCAOB voted to approve Auditing Standards Number 5, which superseded the previous standards for audits of internal controls under SOX Section 404. These new standards tend to be kinder and gentler to the small companies who have to comply with SOX Section 404. Basically, auditors and companies should emphasize higher risk areas in their Section 404 testing, and these areas should be placed at the top of the priority list. Auditors are encouraged to spend less time testing low risk areas, and that, my friend, is where a lot of the money for companies was going. It was going for low risk areas, and of course auditing firms were billing out like crazy. So basically the board made auditing more cost effective for the company. The following are some tips a small public company can use to help become SOX compliant. It can use larger company checklists. Many larger companies have already had to comply with SOX Section 404. As these companies went through compliance process, they created many good checklists that you can use for your own company. So the work has already been done. Document review process for controls. Auditors report that review process for financial control processes is a common problem. For example, a company may have a requirement that says a supervisor must verify that an account balance is in place, but oftentimes the company may never formally document the procedure. This means that the auditors can't give them credit for having it in place. So document your process of controls. Also, document your company processes. Your company will spend far more money on the audit if the auditors first have to figure out what the processes are before they can actually test them. Also, create a policy for segregation of duties. Multiple persons should have overlapping checks and balances responsibility for key financial operations. You do not want someone who's in charge of generating checks to be responsible for performing the bank reconciliation. You can see the obvious potential for malfeasance and corruption. So make sure you have in place a policy of segregation. So here are just some tips you may use if you are a smaller company and you are trying to become SOX compliant.